So this episode is about improvisation. I want to talk about playing over a simple chord progression. It's in the key of C. It's 2 bars of F, 2 bars of C, 2 bars of G7, and 2 bars of C. I've made a backing track, which I'll play for you in a moment. If you're in one of the upper tiers, you can get an MP3 of this backing track. It's just really simple. It's just strumming acoustic guitar. But if you're in one of the upper tiers, you'll get access to this. You'll also get access to some PDFs of some charts and diagrams and things like that you might find to be helpful. But I'm going to play through everything here, so if you don't have access to those things, you can always just rewind or slow down or do whatever it takes to get this material under your fingers. So this chord progression is in the key of C, and it starts on F, so that's the 4 chord. Then it goes to C, that's the 1 chord. G7 is the 5 chord, and then back to C, that's the 1 chord. And over each of those chords in the key of C, we are going to play a corresponding major pentatonic scale. That's not the only type of scale that you could use over these chords, but just to keep it really simple and hopefully using something that you're familiar with already, we're going to play C major pentatonic over C, F major pentatonic over F, G major pentatonic over G7. So that's going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's F, so we play F major pentatonic, and then C major pentatonic over the C. And we're gonna this is all gonna be in 5th position. G major pentatonic, and then C major pentatonic. I'm really just playing the scales here, not trying to make melodies, just playing scales for right now. Now I'm going to try to play more melodically through that. So here's F. C, G, C, and so on. If you have your guitar in your hand, you try it. F major pentatonic here, C, G, C. So we'll stop there. So that's approach number 1. We're just going to stay, kind of color within the lines, if you will. When the chord symbol says F, we're going to play F major pentatonic. We're not going to play anything else. When the chord symbol says C, we're going to play C major pentatonic, nothing else. G7, G major pentatonic, nothing else, and back to C. So that's the first approach. Even though it's the first approach, don't take it for granted as being something that's super simple. There are challenges. You have to get to the right scale at the right time. You have to make it musical, make it melodic, so it doesn't just sound like you're running scales. With both of your hands, you're going to try to make the guitar sound good and speak and be, expressive of whatever it is that you're trying to express. So in and of itself, level 1, that could be a week of practice if you wanted to. And of course, you could do it in different keys, different tempos. You can make your own backing track. Obviously, there's nothing particularly fancy about my backing track there. So maybe do spend a week just doing that and have it feel good. Maybe try it in a minor key with minor pentatonics, and etc. Make your own variations on this really simple thing so that it becomes a week of work or even a month of work. The second approach is similar to the first. We're still just using the major pentatonic scales that correspond to the chords. What's different here is we're not going to stay inside the bar lines so much. When the chord is changing, we're going to anticipate the chord that's coming up by getting to that scale a little sooner. That sounds like this. So I'm playing F. Now I'm going to play C. Even though, you know what I mean? Like I started C before the chord got to C. Here's G. And I'm going to go to C. So over the G chord, I'm already playing something that's in C major pentatonic. So your ear might go, well, wait a minute, that doesn't sound quite right. And then when the chord resolves, it all starts to make sense. So I'll do that again. Here's F, C, G, C, F, C, and so on. You could also try to be late instead of early, and that'll sound like this. I stopped it in the middle, so here's G7, and I'll hang out on G, and finally get to the C. I'll stay on C, and now get to F. Stay on F, C, so I got to the G a little late. Could you hear that? Could you hear how I was doing that? So that's the second approach. It gives you just a little bit more push and pull. You're not in lockstep with the rhythm guitar there. You're making your own phrases, and you're creating your own sense of tension and release. So that's the second approach. In the third approach, we're actually going to use some other scales. We're going to imply harmony that's not actually there. And we're going to do that by playing either the 4 of the next chord or the 5 of the next chord. So in other words, when the chord is going to C, leading up to that, instead of just jumping on it like we did in approach number 2, where we're thinking ahead, we're trying to imply C before we get there, we're going to take a similar approach in that we do have to anticipate and think ahead, but rather than just playing the C major pentatonic, we're either going to play its 5 chord, so that would be G major pentatonic. So that's kind of implying G7 going to C, but doing that melodically. That's 5 to 1 or 4 to 1. So we could play F major pentatonic to C major pentatonic. So that's we could do that for each of the chords, so that when we're going to F, the F chord, its 5 is C, so we can play C major pentatonic to F major pentatonic. Or we can think of its 4 chord, the 4 chord of F is B flat. So we're in C, but I could go, so I played B flat major pentatonic to F major pentatonic. So that's a 4-1 resolution. And now to C, we can do a 4-1 resolution. To G7, we can go 4-1. So that would be C major pentatonic to G major pentatonic. Or we could do the 5 of G, which is D, or D7. So D major pentatonic. So if that seems confusing, let me just play and I'll try to say what it is I'm doing as I do it. I'll start by doing the 5 of each chord. So the C to F, G to C. Now here's G7, so 5 of that. So we're going to F, so here's the 5 of that. So I played some C stuff, then some F stuff, and now G to C, and now D to G. G to C. Now I'm going to do the 4. So 4 of F. So I went B flat to F, and now F to C. And now C to G. F to C. Now I'm just going to not talk and just mess around and see if you can hear what I'm doing. Big idea. Some of the stuff is a little redundant because when we're going to G7 and I say we're going to play the 4 of that, it's C. That's already what we were playing in approach number 1 and 2 because that's what the chord is, and so that's what's already naturally happening there. So each approach here is not necessarily ear-shattering, but hopefully you could hear that when I play the D major pentatonic into the G especially, or the B flat major pentatonic into F, we're adding some chromaticism that's not inherent. The D major pentatonic has an F sharp in it. The B flat major pentatonic has a B flat in it. Neither of those notes, F sharp nor B flat, is part of the key of C, so there's going to be some inherent tension there, but it resolves once we get to the scale of the chord that the rhythm guitar is playing. Obviously in jazz, this kind of thing is prevalent. People are putting in their own spin on things or substitutions and stuff so that they're not always just playing what's literally on the page, but they're adding some stuff. If the kind of music you play is not jazz, if it's blues or country or rock, I don't know, these sounds might be a little too far out, but I hope that you will take a chance and try them. Chromaticism can work in really any kind of style as long as you keep it musical and as long as you resolve the tensions that you're setting up and you're not just putting tension without resolution. So think about that as you play. Again, I would encourage you to make your own backing tracks. Play in different keys. Don't just stick with major. You could do minor. It doesn't have to be in 4/4. It could be in some other meter. Get creative, but use these ideas as templates for further study. And also, as you build a solo, if you're on a gig or a recording session, if you have an opportunity to play an extended solo, we don't always have opportunities to play extended solos. Sometimes a solo is a very short thing, but if you do have an opportunity, you could think about building your solo by starting with approach number 1 and then getting to approach number 2 and then to approach number 3 so that you're getting ultimately creating, you're starting from a place of not that much tension to more tension, more excitement, more tension, more excitement, and then you can, resolve the tensions in whatever way you want to at the end of your solo, and hopefully create something that has a real shape. So that's the idea. Improvisation. This is one approach. I'll be covering some others in the episodes to follow, and I'll also be talking about music theory and technique and other stuff that you are telling me that you would like to have more of. So thanks again for your support of the channel. Thanks again for your feedback on the poll. Until next time here in Los Angeles, I'm Adam Levy. Stay tuned and take good care.